start off with this one.
So how do I do it?
No. Which way is the blade face? Blade faces this way. So a couple things. Always go away from your body with the blade and never go towards anybody else. Don't put your fingers that close to the blade. There you go. And you can put your thumb on the back of the blade if you need to. And something I like to do is just kind of push with my fingers like that. But what would you like to make? You know what I thought you could do with this one?
I want to make a spear, a wooden spear.
Wooden spear, huh? Get your finger back away from the blade a little more. There you go. My son asked me for a pocket knife, and I have, over the years, when it comes to giving a kid a knife, there's a lot of things that you want to consider, and I carry a single blade lockback knife. It's very practical for my day-to-day uses. But for somebody who's learning how to use a knife, you really want to give them something that they learn to use as a tool. Now this one has always been my favorite knife. I absolutely love this knife. My grandfather gave me this old Boy Scout knife many, many years ago. We used to sit on the front porch of their farm in Vermont and just carve away at sticks or whatever we could find. And this was the knife that I used. It's been through a lot over the years. I can't even open it now. I'm not sure how to fix this, but it started to kind of bend apart right there. I guess I overextended it or something, but I loved this knife, and it was my very first knife. Now, this is made out of a more traditional U.S. steel, so when it comes to sharpening this knife, that's probably one of the reasons why it's always been a favorite of mine, is because the steel is super easy to sharpen. But in getting my son a knife, I reverted back to these Boy Scout knives. And I got him, let me get it out of his little leather case here. These leather cases are fun because they can learn to carve on them, and it's just a little craftsman kit that we got with the knife. Fun thing. But we got him the newer version of the Boy Scout knife. In my opinion, the steel of the newer ones doesn't compare to the steel of the older ones. It's just a Chinese stainless steel. It does hold a pretty good edge, though. It's pretty sharp. It's sharper than my knife is right now. But this knife has multiple tools on it. As you know, it's got your typical bottle opener, can opener. It's got the leather tool. It's got a small screwdriver, and yeah, all that fun jazz besides your main blade. So when I present this knife to my son, or when I first gave it to him, I presented it to him as a tool, because it obviously is a multifunction tool. Now, he is only allowed to carry this knife when we're doing outdoor chores or outdoor work, or he and I are carving together on the front porch. And so he keeps this by the front door. My grandfather made me do that with this one here. He used to have me put this on a pedestal right by the front door. There was a statue of it that I used to think was my great-grandmother. In fact, it may have been, as weird as it is to have a statue like that. I don't know, and maybe we just called it my great-grandmother. But in any case, so we keep this knife of his right by the front door, and he can only carry it when we're doing work and he might need to utilize it. So from the beginning, we've trained him to view this as a tool and not some sort of fun hobby, not some sort of weapon. There are fun hobbies that we do with it. I have different blocks of wood You can get these balsa wood blocks, which are really good for learning to carve because they have a really nice soft wood to them. And so for a younger person who's just learning how to maneuver the knife, having something that could very easily carve is important. We also have soap blocks that he can learn to carve with. So those soap blocks are pretty nice. But this knife is relatively inexpensive. It's a Boy Scout model. I think the Boy Scouts overall quality-wise, they still put out some nice quality knives. And I think having something with the Scout emblem on there just reminds him of being trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, good things to have in mind when you've got a knife in your hand. But that's it. If you guys are looking, whether your kid is in Boy Scouts or not, see, my child is not in Boy Scouts at the moment. It's been hard to line them up with the troop because we live out in the country. But whether your child is in Scouts or not, these Scout knives have a great quality, very good weight to them. Like I said, the steel is a Chinese steel, but you're going to find that with almost every knife that you buy today. This is just a good, solid pocket knife with lots of tools on it that they can learn to utilize the knife as a tool instead of a weapon. So that's my 2 cents for those of you who are out there wondering, what do I buy my kid as their first pocket knife? This was mine. Look at that. Generations later, still making a very solid knife. Boy Scouts of America. They don't make it. They just find good contractors to put these out there. So that's my suggestion on buying a kid a knife. Buy them a tool, teach them how to use it as a tool, and buy them something that is quality made. You don't want something that's going to, start to have problems and come down on somebody's fingers. My dad was telling me how he closed a knife on his fingers when he was a boy. It could have actually been this knife, because I think this was either my dad's or my uncle's Boy Scout knife that my grandfather found and passed on to me. But anyway, he folded it over on his fingers. It wasn't that great. But you want to make sure you find a quality knife that's not going to start breaking apart. And Boy Scouts seems to have put the research behind the tools that they're offering to young men. And you can't go wrong with this being your kid's first pocket knife.